All right, I'm starting the hour by having students graph a log graph. That's the parent graph of a log. And I know, I didn't tell you even which one, but you're gonna move it left 3. So the key for this is that the asymptote, of course, has to move. If you don't have an asymptote in yours, you're not doing it right. And I've done this multiple times. And so often kids graph the little curve like this, but they forget the asymptote. And you're going to get it wrong on the test without that. All right, so let's see what you've got. I'll pause for a second while you show me that. So I want you to tell me if this was a graph of log base 2. You should now be able to tell me the equation you just graphed that looked like this. If it was log base 2, what's the equation? Well, an equation involves a y equals, and f of x is the same thing as y. So, is it just log base 2? No, there's more than that because this got shifted which way? Left 3. So, here's a classic mistake. And I get it. I get what the kid was thinking, but that's wrong. It's just missing something. Do you get that by writing it the way I just wrote it, that would imply it should be moved down 3. And we wanted left 3, so you have to have the parentheses around the argument. There's a big difference there. And kids don't think of that, but that's different. It is totally different. Because this would move left 3, and that's what we wanted. All right. Yes?
Use that right 3.
And it should be a plus. Thank you very much. Dang it. Okay, good. Now we're going to make an XY chart. And would you please tell me 3 key points on this? And I would have caught it right there. Because if I get my key points and they're like, wait a minute, those points aren't in the right spot. That's how I could have caught it. So, the 3 key points. You don't have to put the asymptote on the chart, but you have to find 3 key points. All right, would you agree that if I put in like 0, it's not going to work nice? A lot of people just say, well, I'll just always put in 0 and 1 and -1. It doesn't work when you put it into this kind. You got to choose wisely. So I'm going to impersonally pick -3. And then even though it doesn't work because you can't have a 0 in the argument, it is the asymptote. Whatever makes the argument 0, that's the asymptote. I'm sure you could make up some kind of a snappy saying about being an asymptote and having a bad argument or something. But anyways, this is -3 being an asymptote. Next, I'm going to put in -4. No, I can't have an argument that comes out negative. I could put in -2 though. All right, would you please put in 3 specific points that work nice? -2 work nice, and there'll be at least 2 more things. There is an unlimited number of points. There's literally an infinite number of points you could put. It's just that they won't all fit on the graph. All right, for this one, I know there's far fewer people than normal, but today you 2 guys are going to compare. I'm going to make it you 2 guys compare, and we're going to go you 2 guys diagonal, the brothers compare. I have a group of 3 right there. Okay, you 2 guys compare. You 2 diagonally compare. You 2 guys compare. And I'll be your partner. And you 2 guys compare. All right. Find me one more thing. I'm not good for one. So -2 makes you have a 1 in the argument. And if you won the argument, you get nothing, so 0. And then I'm going to try -1. Yeah, that works nice. -1 will give me a 2 argument, and log base 2 of 2 is 1. And then the next one, I'm going down. It must be 0. No, 0 is not going to work nice because 0 log base 2 of 3 is not nice. So what's the last one? Asher, what'd you get?
I got 1
1. All right, if I put in a 1, then I get log base 2 of 4, which is 2. Perfect. Okay, there's 3 points and the asymptote. Okay, I hope that these feel easy for you by now. We've practiced it enough. But trust me, if you were one of the kids that has got this, a lot of people other weren't getting it, and I can tell by all the conversations I had during last hour and stuff. So here's a bunch more things that you need to know, and I'm promising you, some of these are going to kick your butt. Write this: A log base B of C equals D. Do you get you can have a number in all those spots where A, B, C, and D are? There can be a number in all those spots. Okay. Right now it is solved for D. If I wanted to rewrite this thing, I could solve for something else. But there's a key moment that you have to do, and if you don't do it right, then your rewrite won't work. So when I say rewrite, I'm trying to say get it out of logs and into exponentials. So rewrite it as an exponential. I've often used the word circle of logs. Go ahead and do that. If you don't know what to do with the A, that's your problem. I'll pause for a second. There were 2 ways you could go with this. Are you on team I divided both sides by A? I'm curious. Raise your hand if you're on that team. It's legal. All right. Only 1. Okay. Well, the rest of you probably did this other way, which is to put the A up here as a power. Raise your hand if you were on that team. Okay, good. I do think in this case that that's easier, but either way is legal and would come out with the same answer. All right, so now I'd go B to the D. Go ahead and do the rewrite if you haven't already. B to the D equals C to the A. All right. Do you get from there? You could solve for B or C, either way. All right, I'm going to remind you how that would work. Try to get B alone. You're solving for the B. Get the B alone. We do this. We sometimes put variables in the problems. In fact, I just had a meeting with some calculus teachers, and they said, if you could do that some more, that would be great. Because we do a lot with multiple variables. We want kids to be ready for that. So if you get the B alone, you should be thinking, well, how do I get rid of this? And the way you get rid of that is by putting it to the power of 1 over D. How many of you thought of that? That's almost everybody. Sweet. You're not catching on. Then the final answer would be B equals C to the what? A over D. Now, I just want to show you that other way, remember how we were going to divide both sides by A? At least one of our students did it that way. Do you get how there's a D over A? And then you'd put it to the power of A over D. See, you'd end up with an A over D either way. You come up with the same answer. Okay, all right, good. That's a reminder of the power rule, that the number that's in front can go up as an exponent. All right, next one. 2/3 to the x equals 9/4. This doesn't even have a log in it. You don't need to change it to a log, you need to solve it. Do you remember how to solve these? It's literally just like your last test. Can you make the bases the same? That's what it's all about. Since last chapter and this chapter, if you can make the bases the same, life's good and easy. All right, please talk to that kid next to you. See what they got. Have fun with the game. Okay, so here's my official attendance. I gotta read off who's gone and stuff, just to be sure I'm not by accident marking one of you absent, which is a real pain for you, because then it sends you this nasty gram like, hey, prove that you were legitimately absent. So here's where I have it as absent. Aiden is absent, and Kellen is not absent. The next one is Allie Carr is absent, and so is Alex Feltman, and so is Caitlin Allen, and so is Maggie Long, and so is Charlie Long, and so is Valeria, and so is Jack Green, and so is Stella Sinopes. Any of those were you and you're actually here 16. Okay, cool. I need honesty here. I'm not going to call on you based on this, but how many of you know you got this? You're confident. Oh, excellent. Then I'll go fast. All right. So 2/3 would be a good base. So I leave that alone. And I make this 2/3. But to make it 2/3, I got to look at this and go, these two have to be equal, though. Can't just say it's 2/3. So it's 2/3 to the, I want it to flip. That's a negative. And I want it to be squared. Cool. And now x is -2. If the bases are the same, the answer's already there. All right. Are we good with that? All right. So next kind. I'm going to give you 5 questions in a row, and you should know 5 out of 5. But don't write them down. It'll save you time. Just write down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just write the numbers down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then don't write these problems. Just write what the answer to them is. The first one is insultingly easy. It gets harder from there, of course. Just write down all 5 answers. And I've paired you with somebody in a second. It's literally supposed to be a memorized thing. Shouldn't be too much calculating going on in your head. So you should be able to be done by now. All right? There was probably at least one that stumped you. Talk to the kid next to you. See what you think the 5 answers are. Okay. Here's your answer bank. 1, -1, -1 again. You won the argument, you get nothing. And what if there's a 0 there? No solution. All right, cool. Any questions about those? I'm sure the one that bothered you the most was this one, but I bet most of you figured it out. Because this 5 could be written as a 1/5 to the -1. Okay, next kind. I taught you these in the past, but it still bears repeating. Tons of people get them wrong. Log base 1/8 of 2 equals x. Solve. This isn't a 5-second problem, but it should be a 15-second problem. All right, there's 2 ways to go. I'm curious if you were on team, I'm going to rewrite the 2 as a 1/8 to a power. Did anybody do it that way? All right. 4 of you. All right, good. That totally works. If you can make this into 1/8 to a power, it's quick. Because then the power is the answer. All right. Now, a lot of you didn't do it that way. That's fine. But do you see how if I could make this into 1/8 to a power, then the power is the answer? I'm done. It's quick. But if you do it this way, I totally respect it. 1/8 to the x equals 2. And then you just got to do the whole make the bases the same deal, which is kind of what you're doing up here, see? You're just forced to use a base of 1/8 if you do it that way. And if you do it this way, you can use any base you want. So I'd probably use base 2. You do it either way. 2 to the, what do I have to do to get 1/8 to be a 2? 2 to the third would give me an 8. But then I want it to flip. Oh yes, negative third. And you bring down the x. Final answer, negative 3x equals 1. X equals negative 1/3. Either way, how many of you got that answer? Okay, am I doing it wrong? I'm seeing some really smart kids not raising their hand. If there's a mistake in here, you gotta tell me. Okay, I think it's right. All right, now, here's the kind that I taught you yesterday. So it's brand new, so you might have forgotten already because you haven't practiced it enough. Log base 3 of x plus log base 3 of 5 equals log base 3 of 50. Again, it's brand new. But do you remember how to condense 2 logs into 1? Because it is easier, of course, if you don't have so many logs running around. And then if you have the same log on each side, the bases will be the same, and the answer's already there. I have no idea how well this stuck. I'm sensing that you guys are getting it, but let's see. Did you know it was log base 3 of 5 times x? And then if the base is the same, the answer's already there. That equals that. So x must equal 10. Who had 10? Raise your hand if you had 10. Nice. Okay, good. Now here's one that is significantly more complicated just because it's a minus instead of a plus and the power rule has to be used. Let's see if you get it. Log base 3 of x minus log base 3 of 5 equals, wait, I'm wrong. There's a 2 in front of that. I'm going to make it white so you can see it against the black background there. Put the 2 in the front because that's the key to the whole this makes it tricky kind of question. Okay? Equals log base 3 of 2. Now the only way those can get harder is if the logs drop out and you have a quadratic. We did that yesterday. It's the one problem I'm not practicing today. But quadratics are critical. You got to know how to solve a quadratic. And there was one on the homework last night that was the quadratic formula. If you can't factor it, you got to know how to do the quadratic formula. If you don't know that one, walk up during work time today. I'll explain it. All right. This is all about whether you knew what to do with the 2. A little white 2 in there. At the end, your answer is a nice round number. If you got the same nice round number as the kid next to you, cool. You don't even have to talk about it. You know you did it right. The odds of you both making the same mistake at the same numbers pretty small. So check with that kid next to you, see what they got. All right, let's see how you did. I personally put it together in one log, and because it's minus, you have to use divide. So x over, and the next part is this 2 goes up on this 5 and is an exponent on the argument, which means 5 squared is 25, and I could put 25 right there. If you got that part right, then you probably got the rest of it right, because from there the logs bases are the same, and so the answer's already there. This equals this. X over 25 equals 2. So I now get the final answer of multiply by 25. X equals 2 times 25 is 50. Who had 50 for an answer? We're getting almost everybody. Yay. Okay, cool. Then your homework is the Schoology quiz. Let's start it together. You should be able to finish it in class. You walk out of here today completely refreshed on all of the stuff you had to know so far. Homework done. That'll feel good. Okay, here we go. Number 1, it is a log, and you'd start by saying log base. Sam Ballard, would you read me number 1? Log base.
Log base 64 of x minus 7 in parentheses.
In parentheses, that's key. Equals what?
Equals 1 over 3.
1 over 3. I personally would start this one with a rewrite. Get it out of the logs. 64 to the 1/3. Ooh, I know that one. Do you know that one? What is 64 to the 1/3? Say it if you know it.
4.
It's 4. Very good. So that's just 4 equals x minus 7. And then it's super simple. If this is something that's easy for you, then this unit will be so easy. If you're good at those fraction exponents, you'll be loving life on this test. All right, let's move on to number 2. Josh, would you read it?
Log base 416 to the a power is equal to x.
I'm thinking rewrite again. 4 to the x equals 16 to the a. And then, the bases aren't the same. Isaac, what base should I use?
4.
So I'm going to change the 16 to a 4, and then x equals a. No. What's wrong with what I just did?
You gotta put the 2 up next to the a.
There you go. 16 is 4 squared. Now the base is the same, and the exponents have the answer in them, so that equals that. X equals 2a. Now, if they want x, that is x. Don't be freaked out by having a letter in your answer, a variable. That's going to happen more and more. When you get to pre-calc, it gets to be really rare that you even just get a number. You oftentimes get something with a variable in it. Okay, so get used to having variables in your answers. If they wanted you to solve for a, you just divide by 2 and you can solve for a. You can solve for any variable you want. All right. I think you get the idea. If you get stuck, please come up and ask. I want to help you. That's all I got for the video for today.